talk housing with you.
Yep.
The target is 300,000 homes by the end of the decade. You're not meeting those targets at the minute. You've said it's a top priority. How is that going to get done?
I think the only way we can get it done, I think, is first of all to remove. There are too many barriers in the way, so the planning system has been a problem in terms of the speed of getting things through. Now, we did pass a gigantic planning act in the last Dáil. We now have to implement that, and we're going to implement that as quickly as we possibly can with a new planning commission and to get people in place there to streamline. And when we say, or when the commission says there'll be a decision in 3 months or 6 months, that there will be a decision in 3 months or 6 months. We're close to signing off on the national planning framework. What's that about? Well, it's about getting more land rezoned for houses so that the county councils can get their new updated county development plans with a view to rezoning for more housing. We need to do modern methods of construction more in housing delivery and get more houses built faster. I was at Clongriffin today. The Land Development Agency has in the pipeline potentially 25,000 houses over the next 5 to 6 years. We've got to get behind the Land Development Agency for it to do that. In Clongriffin, they will build 2,300. We dug the sod today, for the first 440. We need more bigger schemes of that kind. But above all, and when I came in, I mean, there's a lot of noise around Dáil and all of that, but I've been focusing on housing with cabinet ministers, with officials. I'm still at it. We cleared the 450 million additional money for the units last week. There's too much delay within the system and there's too much bureaucracy around it.
But just listening to you, you're talking as if you are a Taoiseach who has just arrived afresh. I mean, Fianna Fáil has had housing for 5 years. Yeah. People are sitting at home tonight. People are maybe sitting with their parents and don't want to be sitting in their parents' house.
Correct.
And all of this doesn't seem to be helping.
Well, first of all, before we came in, we were doing less than 20,000 a year.
I understand that.
Now we're doing 30,000 plus, right? That's not enough.
I know, but the baseline you're coming from was very, very low.
Like, we need to get to 50,000 a year. I'm interested in the how of getting to 50,000 a year, and I'm interested in talking to opposition, to everybody with concrete ideas as to how to do that. And I think we have to do social, affordable, and we have to get the private sector in my view. And the private sector is not involved. We have to get our banks to lend better and more to builders. Our banks are not lending to the degree that they should. And the cost of finance for builders to build is too high. And that's why the state is involved so much now, up to 6 billion. That's why the Land Development Agency is there, the affordable housing bodies and local authorities. But for us, to get to the 50,000, we need far more private sector finance involved than we currently have.
OK. It's been a bumpy start to the Dáil. It looks like you have bent over backwards to give the regional independents speaking rights. Why was that?
Since I've come into Dáil Éireann, everybody has had speaking rights. And I'm a bit taken back by what I consider to be a very disproportionate response to the proposal that's on the table. Essentially, for the regional independents, or independents, and government TDs as well, that they get 8 minutes on a Wednesday and 8 minutes on a Thursday to ask the Taoiseach of the Day a question. That's to be shared among 60 TDs. So probably a government TD might get once a year opportunity to ask the Taoiseach of the Day. That's what we're arguing about, which is crazy and farcical, I think.
It's maybe what you're arguing about, but it doesn't seem to be what other people are arguing about. Other people seem to find it difficult to get their heads around the fact that somebody who was part of the programme for government then wants to have the speaking rights for the opposition.
I was part of a programme for government in 2016 as leader of the opposition, the largest opposition party in the confidence to supply deal on Brexit. Fianna Fáil actually had an influence in negotiation of that programme for government. We actually negotiated every budget. We said to Fine Gael and the independents at the time who formed that government, we want 2/3 on public services and 1 on tax, 2 to 1. And we asked for career guidance counsellors to be brought back and so on. So many issues that we inserted. No one said to us at the time, by the way, you can't be the leader of the opposition and you can't ask questions.
I understand that, but I mean, I can't host the show and be in the audience of the show. You know, like there has to be a point. Well, there has to be a point where
it's not that simple.
You're on one side or the other.
No, it's not that simple. I mean, go back all along. Since the Dáil was formed, independents have supported governments of different hues and colours, and they've never lost speaking rights. Never. Like, I mean, Tony Gregory never lost speaking rights when he did his deal for the North and South. A good deal he did. Various independent...
Has Michael Lowry done a better deal than Tony Gregory?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Not for his constituents, like Tony Gregory did.
He seems to be a very persuasive man.
No, he's not. I mean, the bottom line is Labour didn't want to go into government. Social Democrats didn't want to go into government. The only group that came forward was the regional independent group: Sean Kenny, Marion Harkin, Gillian O'Toole, Barry Heenahan, Kevin Boxer-Morton and Noel Grealish and Michael Lowry. So, and Michael Healy-Rae and Danny Healy-Rae wanted to come in.
Yes.
The other independent Ireland group wanted us to change climate policy and roll back on climate policy. We weren't prepared to do that. There's no dilution of our policy on climate. So they were the only group that said from day one, we want to facilitate you forming a government. We didn't have the numbers. Ivana Patrick would have said to me, the leader of the Labour Party said to me, look, the numbers aren't right for us. We were about 2 short, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, so they felt they wouldn't have the leverage. They probably were also watching the Social Democrats, and there's a competition between the two on that space. So that is the reality of it. And could I just make one? Like, you have to form a government after the general election.
I do understand you have to form a government, but previously, you said that Michael Lowry was a rogue politician. You said that he should resign from the Dáil. I mean, what has changed for you to be able to make a compromise and help him form a government with you this time round?
Well, I think the Regional Independent Group are helping us to form a government.
Yes.
And I think, and to Sean Kenny...
Everybody would say he's the leader of that group.
But Sean Kenny, we deal with, because Sean is the minister on the cabinet table with Noel Grealish. The two of them are at the cabinet table. The people of Tipperary has elected him in every election since then. I'm in a position where I have an obligation to form a government. In my view, no one else was coming to the table to form a government. We did it on policy. I think it's a good programme for government. I think the country needs a programme for government, and needs a government, that can last 5 years. And I've been very committed to 5-year governments since earlier experiences in the past, when we had governments maybe every 3 years. I can recall as a student in the late 80s, there were 3 governments in 18 months. And that's not good for the country.
No, it's not good for the country.
And I think during Brexit, for example, I facilitated a government, maybe to our cost as a party, but I think most people appreciated the fact that during Brexit, which was a threat to the country, we had a stable government. That's what I've been doing since I became a leader of Fianna Fáil. At least I have facilitated stability in the Dáil over the last 10 to 15 years.
If you turn on your TV and you're looking at the chamber at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a lot of stability. You've got the Can Corley telling you that you're behaving like a child. You've got opposition saying you're frothing with rage, and Tetchy Taoiseach and all of these things. What is it about this Dáil that's making you lose your cool?
Oh, I'm not losing my cool at all. Just, it's serious. Don't buy everything you hear.
Well, what about the...
I tell you, there's 2 things. I mean, a lot of noise in the Dáil. And I think, I'll be honest with you, Sinn Féin said, for example, after the election, they were going to do opposition different. This Dáil will be different. It's going to be far more, I think, robust. I think the opposition have made it clear. Sinn Féin has made it clear it's going to be all in. And it's going to be hell for leather, but they will meet with a steely response from government.
Do you regret what you said about Mary Lou McDonald in the Chamber of Scailga?
Do I regret it? No, I actually offered to take that back, by the way, to the Ceann Comhairle in advance of the second session. Ceann Comhairle didn't, because I was going to... Ancient Bregan wasn't the biggest deal in the world. But I was going to take it back anyway, right?
What's the difference between saying someone is
telling a falsehood,
telling falsehoods, or telling untruths, or telling lies?
Exactly.
I mean, surely is that not?
No, but in the Dáil,
if I said I'd a senior All-Ireland medal, I mean that's an untruth, but it would also make me a liar, would it not?
Which?
I said if I had a senior All-Ireland medal, that would sort of... It would be an untruth, but it would also make me a liar.
It's an archaic situation.
What's the difference?
Yeah, it's an archaic situation in the Dáil. In English, for example, I can use the word falsehood, I can't use the word lie, I can use the word untruth. I mean, I was called a liar by Matt Carty last year. No one asked Matt Carty to take it back.
So is this at the heart of it, the fact that they were calling you a liar?
No, I offered to take it back.
Okay.
No, I use Irish a lot in advance. I didn't take any notice of saying ancient break. No one did, actually. If you go back on the clip, not even Mary Lou did. It was kind of a minute or 2 later, oh, hey, ancient Brega, take it back. The only thing, I got the Tishel Ginneduck wrong on it, which kind of annoyed me a bit as a bit of an all-Irish teacher and scholar. That was bad form. And I was going to replace it with saying, in the Irvin Toctic, ancient Nafirina, maybe. But I offered to the Ceann Comhairle. The Ceann Comhairle felt that if I got up and said that, there'd be more rule of bulla and trouble. So look, I'll send it off to the committee. But it shouldn't really dominate. I take your point, it shouldn't dominate proceedings.
Look, there's so much more stuff that we could have got through tonight. We'd love you to come back and to get through a bit more stuff with us tonight. Before we let you go...
I'd say you'd love to win a senior Ireland medal, would you? Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you...
So would I, by the way.
So would I. I've just got my last question here. Down beat Cork 3 weeks ago in the National League. Does that mean that Down's getting better or Cork are getting worse?
I was at the game.
You were at that game, yeah?
It was a lovely day because I think I was the first teacher.
What do you make of the new rules?
I loved them. I loved the new rules. It was the first time a teacher was at that pitch, and they were very gracious. And the new rules are very good. The scores are higher, and it's much more exciting. You pipped us, or Down pipped us at the very end.
We did.
And these 2-pointers are fascinating because you could be 10 points behind. It means nothing now. It's like a game of hurling in one respect.
Yeah.
Before in Gaelic football, if you were a point or two ahead, you were kind of nearly there. But now these 2-pointers go over. So I really enjoyed that. And looking forward to tomorrow. Now we have Roscommon.
Okay.
Because we lost to Down.
Yes.
We have to win tomorrow evening. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, we can get into that next time round as well. Look, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and see us tonight. Taoiseach, Micheál Martin. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Abby. Thanks for being here. Well done,
Okay. Commentate.